first example is 2x squared plus 4. This polynomial has two terms. The first term is 2x squared and the second term is 4. The first step is to get the prime factors of each term. For 2x squared, the prime factors are 2, x, and x. The dot is the symbol for multiplication operator. So, instead of using the symbol x for multiply, we will use the dot symbol to avoid confusion whenever we use x as a variable. For the second term, 4, the prime factors are 2 and 2. The next step will be to identify the greatest common factor or the GCF. To get the GCF is to simply identify all the factors common on each term. When we say common, ang naa sa usa ka term, naa pod sa tanan terms. In this case, we have two terms and 2 can be found to both first and second term. And since there is no other common factor in each term, this means that the GCF of these two terms is 2. Now, since 2 is the GCF, 2 will become the common monomial factor or CMF. Thus, we will factor out 2 from each term and write it here. After getting the CMF, what remains on each term will be determined. Buot pasabot, pila ang nabilin sa first and second term kahuman og pagawa sa common monomial factor 2. On the first term, what remains is the 2x's, which is equal to x squared, kay x times x man. Thus, on the first term, we will write open parenthesis x squared. Take note that parenthesis is also a symbol for multiplication operation, because our answer here will always be equal to the product of the common monomial factor and the remaining terms of the given polynomial. Going to the second term, what remains is 2, and so we write plus 2 since the operation in between is addition. Thus, the final answer is 2 times the quantity of x squared plus 2. Let's go now to the next example. Our polynomial here is 10x squared plus 4x. Again, we have two terms here. Doing the first step, we get the prime factors of each term. On the first term, 10x squared, the prime factors are 2, 5, x, and x. While on the second term, 4x, the prime factors are 2, 2, and x. Next, we have to identify the greatest common factor. In this example, the common factors of the two terms are 2 and x. Thus, the GCF is 2x, and so it will be part of our answer. Then we identify what remains on each term. On the first term, what remains is 5 and x, which means it's equals to 5x. And on the second term, what remains is 2. So, the final answer is 2x times the quantity of 5x plus 2. Next, our polynomial here is 12x squared plus 6x. Again, we have two terms. Please take note that polynomials can have more than two terms, but for our examples here, we focus on two terms only. However, how we solve two-term polynomials is just the same on any other polynomials. Again, we start on determining the prime factors of each term. Thus, for 12x squared, the factors are 2, 2, 3, x, and x. While for the second term, 6x, the prime factors are 2, 3, and x. Notice that I already aligned each common factors because obviously we will put vertical line on them to get our GCF. And so, going to the next step, we see 3 common factors. Thus, the GCF is the product of these 3 common factors 2, 3, and x, which is equals to 6x. 6x now is the common monomial factor or CMF, And to finalize our answer, we write what remains on each term. On the first term, 2 and x is left, and the product of these two factors is 2x. And on the second term, we see that no more factors remain. Take note that whenever this happens, what remains is 1, and so on the second term, it is equals to 1. This means to say that our final answer is 6x times the quantity of 2x plus 1. Finally, our last example, we have 15x squared y minus 45xy. This again is a two-term polynomial with two variables x and y. Getting the prime factors of each term, for 15x squared y, the factors are 5, 3, x, x, and y. While for the second term, 45xy, the factors are 5, 3, 3, x, and y. Identifying all the common factors, the GCF then is the product of 5, 3, x, and y. Thus, the GCF is 15xy. And this becomes again our common monomial factor for this polynomial. Identifying what remains on each term, we see that on the first term, x is left, and on the second term, what is left is 3. Thus, the final answer is 15xy times the quantity of x minus 3.